Alright guys, so today's video we're going to check out the brand new third generation of Apple's AirPods. Now I do want to go ahead and start the video with kind of a disclaimer because whenever I do a video where I don't recommend an Apple product, I usually get a lot of people that get their feelings hurt. But at least hear me out through the end of the video, because I'm not saying that the third generation of Apple AirPods are a bad product, but this is definitely one of the hardest pair of Apple's AirPods to recommend. And we'll get into why I think this way. We're going to talk about the accessories that it comes with. We're going to talk about the sound, the microphones, and see why I feel like this is a tough sell for Apple. So to start with, let's go ahead and talk about the price. The price of these come in at $179, which puts them at the same price as the regular AirPods with the wireless charging case. But where it also stacks it up is against the AirPods Pros, which go on sale all the time for around $180. So if you're comparing them side by side, the AirPods Pros are giving you better sound because you're able to use the ear tips, and you're also getting active noise canceling. So that alone already makes me recommend the AirPods Pros over the third generation of Apple's AirPods. So as far as the design of the new AirPods, I really like the fact that they've gone in the direction of the AirPods Pros. It's a wider case. The earbuds don't have the longer stem anymore. And so it essentially just looks like a pair of AirPods Pros just without the silicone ear tips. Now, some of the features that the new AirPods have that I think is definitely a huge plus is these now have the spatial audio. And although I'm not a huge fan of spatial audio with listening to music, it's really fun to listen to if you're going to be using them for movies or videos and things like that, because, you know, it just sounds more realistic. And with music, I don't know, I just feel like it's doing some things that I'm not necessarily a big fan of. And it also has adaptive EQ, so it's using its microphones to kind of hear, you know, what surroundings you're in, and it's trying to adjust the sound of the earbuds to make sure that you're getting the best sound that you can get out of these. And this is a really nice feature to have, especially if you're somebody that uses your earbuds out and about and in a bunch of different situations. These now use the squeeze gesture controls, which we've seen on the AirPods Pros, and they also have skin detect sensors. So they basically work like smart sensors, where it pauses if you take them out of your ears and it will resume when you put them back in. But since they're skin detect sensors, if you put the AirPods down next to something, the sensor is not just going to think that it's next to something and start playing. It actually has to be next to skin. So this is, again, is a nice feature, because if you take your AirPods out and you just throw them in your pocket or put them on your desk, they're not just going to start playing music. Now, as far as using these at the gym or using these outdoors, all Apple says is that these are sweat and water resistant. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that these are IPX4, which again just means that you're fine against rain or sweat or splashes and things like that. Now, I don't recommend submerging these into water, although I've seen a lot of people that have said that they've washed their AirPods in the washing machine by accident and they still work fine. So you might be lucky in that case, but the fact that they just say sweat and water resistant, I wouldn't take my chances, especially on a $180 pair of earbuds. Now, as far as what all you get inside the box, because this pair of AirPods does not use the ear tips, you don't get any of that, but you do get a USB-C to Lightning cable, because that's what it uses for charging. But this case is also MagSafe or Qi wireless charging compatible. So you can just simply drop it on any wireless charger and it will start charging. And speaking of the battery life, this pair of AirPods has the best battery life out of all of the earbud style AirPods. So it beats the regular AirPods, it beats the AirPods Pros, it just doesn't beat the AirPods Max. But battery life on these, you're going to get around 6 hours on a full charge. And with the charging case, you're going to get around 30 hours total. And if you do just happen to pick your earbuds up and they're dead, a quick 5-minute charge will get you an hour's worth of use. Now, moving over to looking at the case, if you were to just pick the case up, you would just really think that you picked up the case for the AirPods Pros. It's, again, that slippery, glossy white material. On the bottom, you can see the lightning port. On the back, you have a pairing button. And then around on the front, you have that one single indicator light. And that way, you can just kind of gauge how much battery life is left on the case. But when you open up the lid, again, you see from the top, it kind of looks like AirPods Pros. It's just missing those silicone ear tips. Everything else looks exactly the same. These now use the squeeze gesture controls, and just like the other AirPod lineup, it does not allow you to have volume control. So you still have your ability to play, pause, skip your tracks forward, go backwards. You have that always on Siri support, which is nice. But I really wish Apple would just go ahead and add volume control to all of their AirPods. Now, for you guys that do like to use your earbuds for phone calls, this is one area where I feel like the AirPods have always been kind of at the top of the list. They have even went out and improved the microphones on these AirPods. I feel like for phone calls, they sound great. If you're going to be using them for FaceTime, they now even have spatial audio for that. So if you're in a group call, it just kind of sounds more open, like you're in a classroom. And another thing is they've also have this mesh grill kind of over the microphone, and what that's doing is it's blocking out any kind of wind noise from affecting your phone calls. So if you're somebody that likes to take your phone calls while you're out riding a bike, or if you're just outdoors and it's a windy day, it's nice to know that the other person on the other line is not going to hear a bunch of wind noise. And they now also use their own codec, which is AAC ELD, and that's just basically like a Bluetooth codec, but for phone calls, so you're getting a cleaner sound. And again, it's just an improved experience all around when it comes to the mics. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. So here's the mic test of the 3rd generation Apple AirPods. It, again, is just one of the better microphones that you're going to find on a pair of earbuds. You can tell that they always focus on this, and a lot of people use their AirPods for phone calls, but this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here is the mic test with a crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And so this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So now let's talk about the sound, because the sound on these have greatly improved over the original AirPods. They've just gone in and customized their own amplifier. The dynamic drivers are definitely being pushed this time around because they are emphasizing bass more than they have on previous models. Now, I still feel like the AirPods Pros is a much better sounding earbud, and that's mainly because they're using the ear tips so that your outside surroundings aren't affecting your sound. You're just being able to hear more of the sound. So the open air design that AirPods have is always going to negatively affect the audio you're listening to. You're just not going to get the most out of them unless you just press them in your ears and hold them down so that you're getting the seal that you would if you're having ear tips. But that kind of defeats the purpose of buying a pair like this because, you know, having that open air design is beneficial because you are able to hear a lot of your surroundings. If you're in an office environment where you like to listen to your music low, you can still pretty much hear things around you and carry on conversations without actually taking your earbuds out. But the sound quality alone, the bass is definitely more emphasized this time. And I feel like they needed to push that up because open air design earbuds usually don't have great bass. Mids and treble are definitely clean, but they've always kind of been that way with AirPods. I feel like dialogue comes through extremely clear. Vocalists always sound really nice, and mixing vocals in an open air type environment usually makes them sound more natural, and that's the case with these. I just still feel like you're lacking that closed-in sound, just that isolating you and the music. There's so many things that interfere with the sound, and you're still just not getting the feeling of bass that you get with having a pair that has ear tips. So my conclusion on this pair is pretty simple. Apple went in and improved a lot of things over the original AirPods, but because the AirPods Pros dip down into this same price range and you're just getting active noise canceling with those and you're just getting better sound, it's very hard to recommend these unless you're just somebody that cannot do ear tips and you're somebody that's just in Apple's ecosystem, because it obviously has the pop-up connection, so as soon as you open the lid, it's just really easy to pair to your device. And it also really makes it easy to switch from your iPhone to your MacBook to your iPad, just because it's tied into your iCloud account and it's just simple to switch from one thing to the other. So if you're in Apple's ecosystem, this is a great pair to have. But again, it's a hard pair to recommend because the AirPod Pros are so much better. But guys, that's my video on the 3rd generation of Apple's AirPods. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.